Hello friends, we're back with our worm check-in. Now, about a month ago, bin one got its first feeding. I haven't touched it since. I specifically left it and I want to see how they're doing. It's getting a little bit warmer in here. They've been stacked up and we've had this pile of moving blankets on them. The pups love to lay against them and use them as a backrest while they nap. But I thought let's start with the bin 3, which previously, to our knowledge, had probably no worms, maybe a few. Bin 2 that might have had a handful, and then bin 1 where we had purposely put as many of the worms as we found. So let's check on bin 3. All right. What do you think's gonna be in here, Wally? Gonna be any worms in here? Oh, interesting. There is a fly. So I have been leaving this thermometer up top. You could tell it's 58-ish in here. I think the humidity is going up because I'm holding it, but typically the humidity is quite low down here in the basement, and it's also obviously cool because it's basement in Colorado. Right off the bat though, I am stoked that we have a few worms up here. That's a great sign because I am thinking we must have had some eggs, which is the whole point why we kept all this stuff. You alive? Ooh. Are you moving on your own? Okay, you are moving. Great. This bin, in case you missed out or forgot, this particular bin had the most moisture when we harvested from our urban worm bag evacuation a couple months ago. This was a lot of the stuff at the bottom of the bin that was just very, very soaked and saturated, debatably flooded. So to see any life in here is great. I do, as I'm sure you guys probably can't tell all as much, but as I'm moving stuff around, it's good to see that I see a few little worms here and there. The moisture level is pretty good. I've been adding, obviously over time you guys have seen me add more paper just to help distribute all of the moisture. Not seeing a ton of life over here. I'm sure it's there somewhere if we've got worms on the top. So that's great. There's clearly at least 6 or 7 worms in here. So let's make sure we get these guys back in so we don't squish them. They look quite little, so I'm thinking they're babies. All right, you're gonna be okay. All right, worm 3, or bin worm 3, showing signs of life, which is great. Wally, we gotta check in bin 2, buddy. Can you come over here? Thank you. Good job, buddy. You gotta keep going though. Keep going. Thank you. Okay, now we can check on bin 2. Dun, 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 dun. Bin 2. Is smell good? Okay. Well, while he's checking that out, I see a handful of little friends up on the edges, so that's a good sign. Now, obviously, all of this paper and stuff is, added by me after we relocated all of this goodness. Oh my, is there good stuff in here, Wally? Are they doing okay? Okay, well, while Wally's checking, off the bat, my first reaction is the moisture levels are like bin 3 good. It's still damp, but I'm almost wondering, are they too dry? Not that like there's, I can touch this and be like, oh yes, it's got moisture in it, but I like to have, or maybe I'm just used to having a lot higher moisture content. Just having started in Florida, like this to me feels a little dry. I'm continually impressed by how dry it is out here. So I've got just some water from the tub. I filled up this whole gallon, but I'm not gonna put it all in here. I'm just gonna eyeball a little bit. That's probably a quarter. Maybe we got a third in now of a gallon. I know it looks like a lot on the top, but I think the coconut core, when I was handling it, just when it flakes apart like that and it just pretty much sheds in front of you, to me, I think that's too dry. I want to see it kind of holding its shape a little bit more. So on the other end, obviously we don't want to drown anybody or overdo it. So if we could add a little bit every check-in and make sure that they slowly rehydrate, I think that's probably safer for everybody. So since we watered bin 2 let's go ahead and water bin 3 real quick. And I'm sure some of it's my fault because obviously we had too much moisture in when we put these guys in the bins. So I've been adding things like these and paper and, you know, paper scraps. So I'm sure that's doing what it was supposed to do by absorbing the water. But maybe we put too much in. Who knows? Now bin 1, the one we've been looking for. These guys got a feeding. I'll make sure it's linked if you needed to go check up on it. But oh wow, look at this. Okay, love this already. We can see all of their trail marks. Yes. Okay, so obviously some of these guys are surviving and thriving, so that's amazing. We'll put that off to the side. Now, right off the bat, I'm sure you can tell there is humidity. There's a level of moisture up here, so that's great. I suspect though that it's because right here is where we fed them, but we fed them frozen food, probably too much to be honest, and I wrapped it up a lot because I knew it was going to be in here. But you know what? It's clearly working because nothing flew out at me when we opened this, and I like that in a worm bin. This is significantly higher moisture content than the other bins, and I can tell just by tugging on this, most of the food's got to still be here because it is quite full. Okay, we got some mold, as we should. Yeah. Okay, well, there's worms on the bottom of it, so that's exciting, but I don't see the, I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's worms here, but I don't see any puncture marks in the paper. So I'm thinking they didn't get in here yet, but we'll see. Okay, yeah, there's definitely still food. Like, I can feel it. I did a really good job wrapping this up. All right. Yep. No food, or there's still food, but no worms, a lot of mold. Okay, so I'm just gonna wrap that up because they're clearly on a mission. We'll cover it back up, but that's great. There are clearly some worms congregating here underneath it, which makes me optimistic that we have at least some population to bounce back from. Now we have worms confirmed in bin 1, which we knew. Bin 3 seems to be moving ahead into second place, and then bin 2. Not a ton of worms, but we have some. Clearly it's been a month and they haven't even broken the barrier of that food, so I think it's going to be a while till we're rocking and rolling like what we were when we were in Florida. And to be honest, you guys might have seen my dome that I made. That's kind of a greenhouse dome in the yard. I've been monitoring the temperatures with the same thermometer, one of these guys in there, and I cannot seem to get it to retain heat. It gets really hot during the day because obviously there's a ton of sun here. So I've had it, we're in March right now, but even early March, end of February, when we had some of those sunnier days, especially like in the last week or two, I've seen the temperatures in there get up to 99 degrees. I had 100.1 one day, but then equally that same night, it swings the other way and we're at like 24 or something. So I've been slowly trying to add to the insulation or whatever, but for the foreseeable future, it is not going to be a place for the worms to live in, which is unfortunate. So that means I think these guys are going to probably stay here in the basement, which is fine. They're not in the way or anything. But I was thinking about getting some European night crawlers because it's rarely above 60 in here, which I know is not really the dream temperature for these guys. And also, quite honestly, I've never had any before. I've never had European night crawlers, but I know they can survive and thrive in some of the cooler temperatures. And I thought, well, we've got 3 bins here. Maybe bin 2 that doesn't have a lot of otherwise noticeable worms. Like, I'm sure there's a handful of them in there, but what if we just put some in there, see how they do? Maybe not start with a ton and see if they like it. I don't know if these bins are going to be deep enough for them, but I'd be curious to know what you guys think about. I know a lot of the videos that I watch when they're talking about like, should you mix them together, you know, like the urban worm bag, he does a great job for talking about mixing them. There's pros and cons, you know, but right now I could leave them isolated if we needed to and just kind of see how they do. New experiment, see what happens. So I'd be kind of curious to see what you guys think, or if there's another variety of worms that you think in these cooler basement temperatures might be a better fit. I don't know. The red wigglers seem like they're doing okay, but you know they've gone through a lot the last couple months, so I think they're just trying to get back to their new normal. So maybe some new friends. I don't know. We'll see. I won't pull the trigger on any of them immediately because it's still freezing out at night here, and I don't want them to get shipped and be extraordinarily cold. So I'll probably wait for a couple more weeks till it warms up, but for now, yeah, the worms are doing okay. I'm glad we have some survivors after our unfortunate first winter trying to figure this out, but that's okay. That's how we learn. And next winter, I think we'll be in a better spot to handle them. So yeah, thanks for checking in on the bins with me. Clearly we have a ways to go before we're doing regular feedings, but it's part of the journey. So I hope you guys stick around and enjoy it with me. All right, friends. Well, I'm Alessandra. Thanks for hanging out with me and Wally today. He's over here snuggling up with the worms. So yeah, we appreciate you guys hanging out. Bye.